block of the day. Now on the schedule, right now we have a presentation from Vicente, which will update you on what is in your binder and what will happen over the next 4 days in the schedule.
Hello again. So, get to know your binder and schedule overview. So first, your binder, you have it in front of you. It used to be like this. It's a bit more compact for this edition, so I hope it's a bit more handy as well. So, what's the binder? There is one binder per LPG, one per OPG, and then it's one per 2-3 extra international invited people. So the people that really needs to make a decision here, so the LPGs, they all have their personal binders, and the international people can share to check the proposals and the reports if needed. What is inside your binder? You will find useful documents, some free materials, reports, and proposals. So you have the schedule, that is not exactly in your binder, but it was on top of it. The schedule, keep it with you, have a look at it from time to time, and remember when you have to be back at the plenary and when are the sessions. You have the PM 2018 welcome booklet, the handbook for LPG delegates, and the handbook for baby members and observers. So it's a bit of, depending on the version that you have a bit of a different introduction. So the proposals, reports, and free materials, you have them grouped per topic. So instead of having all the proposals and then all the reports and all the free materials separated, they are grouped per topic. So first we will have the documents related to the reports from the Compass, so the legal report and the final financial report, so proposals and report 1 and proposal and report 2. Then we have the reports from the Lantern, the semi-annual action report and the semi-annual financial report. So proposal 3, report 3, and proposal 4, report 4. Title. Then we have the SARs of the 10 departments, so proposals 5 to 14, same for the reports. And then we have the proposals related to membership cases, together with the related documents. So for all the membership cases, we have the proposal. The case of Yekaterinburg, we have the free materials documents printed as well, next to the proposal. And in the case of Istanbul Wachichi, we also have the board report. And then documents that are more related to external relations. So we have 2 proposals for the statutes of ITISA, the proposal 21 and report 15, which is the statute. And then we have the cooperation agreement between STEAM and BEST. So proposal 22 and report 16. And at the beginning of it, you have, let's say, how they are ordered as well. So now that you have your binder, the binder is for you. And if you are sharing, agree with who you are sharing and sign it together. But sign your binder, take it with you out of the plenary, feel free to check it when you need, during LPG time, during region time, in the breaks, if you really need to check some stuff. Any questions regarding the binder? Okay. Then I guess I can continue. So let's have a bit of a look at the schedule. So the schedule looks like this. Obviously here you cannot see anything, but you have it in front of you. So feel free to have a look. But a bit of a general overview of how the schedule looks like. So we have some fixed hours. You have breakfast in the morning from 7:30 till 8:45 9. At 9, you should be here at the plenary every day. So at 9 we start. At 9 you don't enter the room. At 9 you are sitting in your place. We will also have a half an hour coffee break in the morning from 11 to 11:30 more or less. And lunch will be from 1:30 to 3. So we have 1 hour and a half in general for lunch. Then we'll have another block of plenary time or out of plenary time, depending on what it is. Another coffee break and dinner from 8:30 to 9:30. So there are also some out of plenary activities. We will not be all the time here doing presentations. We will also have the International Board and the Department Commissions during the first and second plenary day, discussion groups and study sessions on the second and third plenary day, some training sessions after the voting, the International and NGO Rally, third plenary day, LTAP and LBG SO, first, second, third plenary day, and then a speaker's corner in the evening of the third plenary day. There will be also a parking lot session on the third plenary day. So in this session, what we will be doing is, in the case that we have discussions that go for too long in the plenary, that cannot continue in the allocated time, we will let's say have this extra buffer time that we can use to discuss proposals or topics that were not covered enough during the allocated time. So that will happen at the end of the third plenary day. We'll also have LBG time and region time, first and third for LBG time, and second day, second plenary day region time. You will hear more about all these activities when they come. And of course, we will have the voting on the fourth plenary day. In case that you cannot attend the full session of the voting, as Joanna said, you will have to delegate your vote. So if you need to delegate your vote, please approach me. And that's pretty much about it about the schedule. Are there any questions?
We have one question from Timișoara. Can you hear me? Is this microphone working? Yes. Okay, great.
Dennis from LPG Timișoara. I have one question. If an LPG who isn't attending to the voting and keeps for guests to say to delegate the vote, what is going to happen to the local base group?
So what is going to happen if can you repeat the question? So not everybody can.
I mean, if a local base group doesn't delegate the vote, what is going to happen?
Okay, so if an LPG doesn't delegate the vote and is not present during the voting, it will, like, that LPG will not vote. So in general, right? I mean, it seems serious, but it's what will happen. So at the end, we will have one less vote in the whole list, and well, then the international board will just contact the group to see what are the next steps. It really depends on the group. In general, if you already know that you are coming.
And we have an additional comment from Ines from the board.
Apart from that, it's a responsibility of every full member LBG to vote, so if you don't, it's counted as such, and it's counted as not attending this GM.
Any other question?
Okay, then if there are no more other questions, Vicente, please remain in the middle. Now, over the last month, since the PM documents have been presented, there have been some changes to those documents and they have been collected, so they will be presented up next by Vicente. The thing is that they will have to be approved by you, and how this will work is that changes to the documents will be grouped per document, and the voting will happen per block. In case you do not agree that they happen per block, then you should express that. We will ask you about that, and if you do so, then we will proceed with voting each modification in that block individually. Vicente, the floor is yours.
Good. So, document updates. As Jana said, since the legal deadline until today, there have been some changes in the documents, and according to our regulations, those changes need to be approved by the plenary. So here we are. So first document that has some changes is the legal report from the Compass. So the changes from a correction in the dates in page 2 from 5th of July 2017 to 5th of July 2017 to 5th of July 2017 is the new date. Okay, it's from 2018 to 2017 is the new date. Okay. The slide is wrong. From 2018, the new one is 2017. Okay? We are starting, well, amending the slide. In the page 3, from registered letters were sent to LBGs that were proposed for exclusion where could have face automatic exclusion, so the word is removed as it doesn't English. Next one, again, dates update from September 2017.
Today we're going to learn how to edit the destination.
The copies of registered letters. Same thing for the minutes from PM and GA. They were distributed in September 2018, not 2017. The invitations, they were also put in September 2018, not September 17. A small typo from international board to international board, not international boards. So right now, if anybody would like to change, not vote all this in a block, please raise the finger. If I see no finger, then please get your cards ready. And at 3, you saw it. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? So then these changes are approved and will be included in the document and updated on PM. Next one is for the FFR from the Compass. So there is a change in one sentence in page 3 regarding the savings. So we have a paragraph that says that thanks to unexpected incomes in form of debts that were not paid to us from previous mandates, we are changing the sentence to thanks to unexpected incomes in form of receivables that were not received on time from previous mandates, and using the savings for the remaining amount. So that would be changed. The next one is a correction in a reference. It says refer to Appendix 3, where there is no Appendix 3. There is Annex 2, where this information is informed in this reference. Regarding the cash flow management, there's an addition. So there were only 3 months in the mandate where more cash entered than the one that was spent. Also, the amount of cash received in June 2018 shouldn't be taken into account as the money transferred to the common account were from the saving account. This also happened in a lesser measure in March 2018. So a small clarification to complete the information. There is a change in the numbers after the feedback received from the accountant. So instead of the accounts payable being 21K800, it's now 28K287, and the net assets instead of 23K, it's 16K. There are also some other changes in numbers. Those are 4 different changes in page 10, page 14, page 16, page 18. That suppose a change in those values. In Annex 1, every time that you see invoice, common account, or cash, that will be referred as payable because that's the correct term. And then it will be also a small addition in the total expenses to have the total expenses added as 118K. There is a clarification from Match from the compass.
Microphone here, please go in the back.
Thank you. I'm Ash from the compass. Can you go to the slide before? Yeah, just to clarify, it's not to change everything. It's some of them were already set as paid because when I did the document, basically, already was everything was paid, but some of them were paid after the 30th of June, and the document should end on the 30th of June at the end of the mandate. So some of them are too payable in the updated document that will be uploaded on PNSA if all the changes are approved. You can check the changes, but it's not all of them. So some are still on common account, so it's like
Thank you for the clarification. Moving on. So this row just pretty much adding up everything that is on the table. And also everything that was invoiced. In order to clarify the document better, we have the correct reference in case the correct reference of the invoice, the contract signed, or if the email was confirmed already. There is also a change in this formula. There was not the correct reference in here. So then this equation instead of being 0.87 is 0.67. So those are the changes to the FFR that were made so far. So now, if anybody has any comment about any of them, please raise your finger. If not, we will proceed to the voting them in a block. So at 3, 1, 2, 3. The changes are approved and the document will be updated on PN. Next one is the start from the lantern. So first typo, ourselves. We are not the 30th international ones, we are the 31st. So that should be updated. Next one is a typo in objective 3 is our expertise in fundraising is increased, not in increased. Small typo as well in service development 3.1, developing best courses is service development 3.2, developing best courses. A small typo as well, instead of ESTA Bretagne is ENSTA Bretagne. So those are the amendments to the start of the lantern. Does anybody have any questions? I see none, so at 3, 1, 2, 3. The changes in the report outcome will be updated. Next one, the semi-annual financial report from the lantern as well. So first one, the reference to to the report is updated already in your binders. It's report 4, not report 3. Dus jouw moeite, no motia. There is a clarification in the terms of cache. The correct term to be used is physical cache in a reference link 2. And those are the changes to the financial report. Are there any questions? No? Then 1, 2, 3. Okay. I see quite complete. So the report is approved, and it will be updated on this. There are some more changes to the SAR, but they were more content related, so I decided to separate them. There are in the receivables table the number of overdue invoices over 30 days. Currently 82. It should be 60 is the correct number. In the receivables table, the number is not 1390.75, but 9,709. So 1, 2, 3. All right. There are some other changes, in this case to the SAR of the same department. So there was a reference to Summer IPF Podgorica, it was Summer IPF Skopje. PSCs, it should be PSC, actually without PS. Sorry for the typo again on the slide. They're just for consistency, we included the LVG of the annual report designer, and say for Michalis, who was participating in a project, so to be consistent in the whole document. Those are the changes to the report. If you agree, please 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Next one. The start of the body department. There were some math typos. So in Autumn 18 there were 12 events. Well, there were 11 events. Summer 18 said 51 events. It was 48 events. If you add everything that is there. And for the sake of consistency as well, the reference to the seasons, just to remove the spaces everywhere and use the same nomenclature in the whole report. So, are there any questions? I see. No? So, one.
There is one question from Timișoara.
Right.
Dennis from LBG Timișoara, can you go back to these slides?
Yes.
One. Two. One other one. Okay, it's not the way ahead.
Sorry? It's not we have.
Yeah.
If you have further amendments, you can submit them later.
Okay, just to clarify, what was the problem? Another spelling mistake? Okay, for that, for another spelling mistake, whatever changes we make to these documents during this event, we will submit them through the form.
The report was written while we were having the autumn season, so in that moment we were so present. We have young events.
Okay.
Okay, then if there are no more questions, 1, 2, 3. The changes are approved. Then in the board report for Istanbul Boğaziçi, there is a spelling mistake in the header. So that was it. If nobody has a finger, 1, 2, 3. Then we move on to the IFISA statutes. So these one are quite some changes, so I recommend you to pay attention in this one. So the question mark is removed from this sentence in section 1A2. Section 221, it changes from IFISA will empower and aid in the development of its member organizations, ensuring their sustainability and growth on par with the state of global affairs. So that changes to supporting instead of ensuring. For the cases of interested members of IFISA, the contact person stops being the president and it could be the secretary. So there is this change in the status for that, and this change as well. So instead of the president, we'll have the secretary to support. Okay? Good. There was also the section 3.6 observers was removed. So there are not, like, if this is approved, there will not be observers contemplated in the statutes of IFISA. So also a change regarding the consistency of the document to clarify general assemblies and general meetings. So instead of referring to the General Assembly or the Extraordinary General Assembly for the official notification, it will be referring to the start of the general meeting, not the General Assembly or the Extraordinary General Assembly. Okay. There's also to add a proposal to add these two sections that I will read. So 4321 and 4322. So 4321 by majority resolution of the Executive Board, from which a written notice is then signed by the President or any member of the Board who voted in favor and sent to the official address of all members a minimum of 7 days before the planned start of Extraordinary General. And 4322 by a 1/3 resolution of the members, from which a written notice is then signed by the President or any member who voted in favor and sent to the official address of all members a minimum of 7 days before the planned start of the Extraordinary General Meeting. Any questions so far?
Okay, we go for first question to Bucharest and then to Ensta Paritech.
Ivana from Bucharest. Were these changes also approved by the partner NGOs that already approved the statuses?
We get okay, can we hear the question again, please?
Yes. Were these changes also approved by the partner NGOs that already approved the statuses?
We get so the question was whether these changes were also approved by the partner organizations that are part of IFISA, and we get a direct reply from the board.
Okay, Tanya from the board. So these changes were, from the beginning, worked upon together with CFS and bonding, with Zenon and Irina. And in case of CFS and NASAC, so CFS only needs to approve it with the board. The president is here, so they are almost approved. Bonding has a president's meeting right the weekend after this general meeting, and also the board is okay, so they will get approved. NISEC still has to properly approve the whole document, but in general they are also aware of it. So they are not necessarily officially approved, but everybody is aware, and it will either happen during this PM or right after. But they are on the same page with it.
Thank you, Antonia. Are there other questions? If there are no,
I guess I
then,
will move on.
so Vicente, we have a question from Almada.
João from Almada, does it make sense to add these sections in 4.3.2? Like,
Can you please stand up
sorry,
and
yes.
your name, your LPG, and
João from Almada, and I don't think it makes sense to add these sections in the 4.3.2 because it has 2/3 approval.
okay, is there a question?
Oh, sorry.
Is there a reply?
Does it
or-
make sense?
Okay, a reply from the board.
Alright, Antonia from the board, if I can pass this to the NGOs in case they have an answer for it.
Okay, then we go in the back to Zenon from CFES.
Hi, Zenon from CFES. So all these changes are actually in response to some feedback provided from some of the members from BEST. And so Irina and I went yesterday and actually just implemented the changes. So out of context, it might not make a lot of sense, but some of this, like this section here, it's not really adding, it's kind of shifting over a section. So it's previously its own standalone section, we moved it underneath. This change and the one before it were more so technicalities on the difference between a general meeting and an extraordinary general meeting. And so it's just the only difference in this added section is the amount of notice you need to give for an extraordinary general meeting, which is different than a general meeting. So it's more so a technicality than it is any sort of new real content.
Okay, thank you very much for the question and the clarification. Later in this block there will also be a presentation on these specific statutes, and whatever questions you have to the document itself, you can address them there. At the moment we're only voting on amendments adding to the documents that will be discussed and voted later on. So, if there are no further questions on this, then I say we go with the voting on the amendments in this block. Or if there are more changes?
There are more changes.
Okay.
Okay. Again, reference to General Assembly, that should be a reference to General Meeting, based on what we was worked upon. Same thing again, instead of referring to the voting session, extraordinary voting session, referring to the GM, in section 81.21. And the last change, again, a reference to the general meeting is sent to the General Assembly. Those are all the changes that are proposed. So if there are no fingers for voting one by one, we will vote in block. So I will wait a bit. Okay, then 1, 2, 3. Okay, those changes in the document to be voted are approved and will be updated on PA later today. So that was it.
What will happen next is that all these changes will be implemented in the documents if they haven't been already. They will be uploaded on PA, and these will be the documents that will be voted upon in the last day, unless there are other amendments that will happen during this PM. So for that, please use the online form. We will put the link somewhere on a flip chart in the break. Thank you very much. Okay, then we go next with another presentation from Vicente on the regulations. A brief overview on regulations.
Okay, so this presentation is aimed to look a bit at regulations and to think a little bit about them in the big picture. So, first of all, why do we have regulations at all, like in an organization like this? So, in general, regulations, what they do is they provide a framework to what we do, and at the end, it's a way of defining how we decide to work. So, that we don't do, let's say, random activities, and that we follow a purpose. So these regulations are supposed to help us guide us there, and ensure that BEST does what it's supposed to do. Structure regulations in BEST, we have quite a few. So I believe it's important that the members of the organizations understand, at least in a high level, like what is the structure of the regulation. So first, we are having the statutes, and the statutes pretty much collects what defines us as an organization. The things that, let's say, we all agree upon, and that they should really not change. So they define a lot on a very high level how the organization should be working upon. And at the end, it's also good to remind everybody that whatever is in the statutes, it's over any GM decision. So at the end, when we are making decisions here in this plenary or in any General Assembly, the statutes, let's say, are on top of that. So every time that we aim to change the statutes, like for example in last General Assembly, we will need to have an extraordinary voting session to approve them. And the reason for that is that the statutes are supposed to be the highest document for BEST, let's say after the Belgian law. And therefore, we should be, let's say, not changing them every day. Then, after that, we have two big documents, let's say internal regulations and regulations on admission and exclusion. And in the internal regulations, pretty much what we define is the internal structure of BEST and a bit of our working methods. How do we like to work internally, how are we structured internally, and our internal rules. And in the regulations on admission and exclusion, we define the procedure of how local groups join and leave the organization. So in this document, we have all the rules that we agreed upon to have, that we have agreed upon in order to, let's say, ensure who should be member of BEST and who should not be a member of BEST. There are also a bunch of other documents that have been approved by the plenary, and therefore are also regulated documents. So, for example, cooperation agreements, like the one that we are proposing to approve in this PM with BEST and STEAM, but we also have with quite some other NGOs. We also have all the services related handbooks, so for each vision and mission. We have strategic documents like the LTSP that we are all supposed to follow. And we have a bunch of other documents that are supposed to be that they are regulated. So at the end of the day, that's quite a bit, and it's understandable that not every member of the organization is able to follow them and to understand them. So Vestry is an organization that is 30 years old, and we've been building upon regulations since all this time. However, these regulations have helped us functioning for a very long time. However, regulations are not something that, let's say, shall remain untouched, and that we are, let's say, saying, oh, these are regulations, we are not able to touch them at all. We have to ask ourselves this question: are our regulations still useful? If the members of our organization are not able to understand the regulations, do they still make sense? Does those regulations help best do what it's doing today? If not, we have a bit of a problem. And a bit more of an important question: are we ready for the future? Are we ready to what's coming next? Are our regulations innovation friendly? So this was my presentation, and at the end, what I want to point out here is that regulations in VEST are a bit, let's say, there are a lot of documents. There are, let's say, not that accessible for everybody. So at the end, we shouldn't really be afraid to look up on them and see if we can make if we can do something to make them more understandable and more friendly, let's say, so that everybody is able to understand and at the end be able to follow them. So that was it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, go ahead.
Thank you, Vicente, for your presentation. If there are any questions, there is one question from Krakow in the back, and then
it's a technical one. It's a request for organizers. Could you try to, I don't know, fix the screen because it's really not flat and it's hard to read anything out of it. It's very possible.
okay, so we will try to fix that in the break. I understand it's the screen. What is the actual problem? I'm sorry, I could not hear you because... Okay. Okay, we will try to solve the problem in the break.
Yeah, it's not flat and it's really hard to read out of the presentation.
Okay, we will try to fix that in the break, not to disturb the plenary at the moment. Meanwhile, I saw there was a question from Easttech in the back, or was I wrong? Means I was wrong. No problem. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you, Vicente, for your presentation. Then, next I would like to invite Maren to introduce us to the content part of this PM that will start immediately.
Okay, so now we've had kind of the opening and the introduction and everything. So now it's time to get really digging into what PM is all about, having discussions and getting to touch upon the difficult topics. So we'll first go through some external stuff, hear from bonding and CSDS. Then we'll go to our first proposal, the EFISA one, that we're already starting to discuss a bit in the document subject. Then we will talk a bit about different types of events. And then we get to the fun part of listening to the board for a bit, both regarding their work now and also the financial aspect. And then there will be your first out of plenary session, which is the commission for the board. And then you will have some presentation about decision making and the identity of BEST. And we go on to also discuss some more difficult topics in LTAP. Let's talk about BEST. Before we hear a bit about what the departments have done since GA, and also then have another out of plenary session. But before we start to dig into the content, we just want to do a little check-in, which is what we will do every morning, to have a little time to reflect and to ask ourselves and set the mood for the day. And we'll do that by a little challenge. And for today, we're going to focus on decision-making biases. Because we are here, you are going to make decisions, and you're also going to hear a lot of discussion, a lot of people's opinions, and it's important that you are aware of what kind of biases could lead you to make different choices than you would have if you wouldn't be aware of them. So the first one that we wanted to introduce you to is the bandwagon effect, which is believing something because many others believe the same. So for example, in this room, when the question round starts, and you just hear what the other people think, and you say, the other people think that, so then probably that is correct. And the second one is the authority bias, which is believing something because the opinion of the authority figures is that opinion. And we think that this is relevant here in this case, because as you could see, when we did the how many GMs have you been to, then there was quite a lot of people sitting down at first or second GM. But we also had quite some that has been to several GMs that could be seen as authority figures. So the challenge that we want to put for you is to give you 1 minute to reflect on your own opinion before the questions and statements start. And after the presentation, we will prompt you to do so. And it's your turn then to actually use this opportunity. And we want to just make a little comparison to, for example, when you go to a restaurant, you want to order a meal, and you are with a group of friends, and of course you sit down first, you check the menu, and you kind of make up an opinion about what you want, and then you start to talk with others, and maybe you change your mind, and that's completely fine, change your mind, but at least then you were aware of your own opinion first. But yeah, use this time to reflect on your own statement and be aware of your own opinions as well today. And then we'll do a checkup at the end of the day to see if it actually helped you. That's it.
Thank you, Mara. While we prepare for the next session, I would like to remind LBG's Löwen, Sofia, and Hania or Kishino that you have the timekeeping numbers. So please pay attention to Sandra over here. Thank you very much for your efforts. Okay. Also, another reminder, if you haven't done already, please put your phones on airplane mode while being in a plenary session, just to make the live streaming a bit easier. Great, okay. And then for this block, although I forgot to introduce it in the beginning, but I will do it now, we have one person that is excused. Extra Berta is excused at the moment. She's not in the plenary because she has an online exam at the moment. She will join us after lunch again. Meanwhile, we will move further with the presentation offered by Samuel and Senet, the two ambassadors of BEST, about our external relations.
Good morning, everyone. So we're Samo and Senna, we're the ambassadors of BEST, and we're here to present you with the external relations, the work that we've been doing in the past few months. First, we want to invite Antonia, our president, and the other NGO delegates to come to the middle as well. While they'll make their way here, we can already start for efficiency. So, the external relations is handled by the external relations team. It's quite obvious. This team is these three people, Samo, me, and Antonia. We call ourselves the soldiers for multiple reasons. Feel free to ask us about it out of plenary.
Yeah, so, thank you. So why do we do external relations in BEST, you might ask? Maybe many of you have not really heard about what we do, so it's a good time for you. So why do we do ER? First of all, external relations are an opportunity for BEST to sort of go out of our own bubble and have a greater impact on the world outside of the things we do every day in BEST. Second very important thing, oftentimes in BEST we have a problem, we want to find a solution to this problem, and it's very probable that someone else has already been thinking about this problem. So, so it's always better to not really go through the process once again and just to do all the brainstorming and finding out by yourselves. It's much easier to just ask those persons or the other NGOs who have already dealt with that problem and just basically copy. And on the other hand as well, sometimes we are on the other position, on the other end. There's maybe some other organization who needs help, who they have some problem and we have the solution. So then we can actually be good guys and help them. And also very importantly, external relations help us to innovate. Me, Senna, and also Antonia, and other people, we go to events of different organizations, and there we can see how things are done differently, talked about differently. You meet new people, and that's great room for changes and for innovation. Yeah. So, and of course, in external relations, we have our partners, and the first very important groups of partners are, Antonia will tell you.
Okay, so we have Sefi and Fanny, who are our institutional partners. You already saw them yesterday on the OOD. So we have the cooperation with Sefi, which is enhancing right now. We are getting a lot of support and educational involvement from them. We had a very nice attendance at their annual conference in Copenhagen this year. 4 members of BEST were there, and we had a workshop. There we also had a meeting with the Sefi board of directors. And we are talking about increased involvement in the next annual conference and participating in more working groups participating in working groups. And as you saw, Sefi President attended OOD. Also, we are a STEP 2030 project partners. You'll hear about that later. Then Fanny, they are supporting BEST since a long time. We are together involved in the consortium or Engineers Europe Advisory Group. Something else you'll hear about later. There's a possible framework for position papers which were approved in GA, depending on how it goes. And again, Fanny Secretary General attended our OOD.
Okay, so except the institutional partners, we also have our student NGO partners. Some of them are present here. So let us just go quickly through what has been done and what the cooperation has been like in the past months, basically. So first NGO is AEG. Those are like sort of our political siblings, political counterparts. That's the organization I'm the responsible for. So we had a BEST AEG online meeting, which not that many people actually attended. You can see a picture down here of me and other people. There were like 8 people present. Could be better, whatever, but it's nice that we have some sort of a discussion. Also with AEG, we are part of a joint grant application, and also an important thing which we did was we did this Tinder, which means that we want to put together international bodies of BEST and European bodies of AEG to talk to each other and discuss and share. The bonding, which are our German friends, very similar to BEST. There have been some bondings at RMs, maybe some of them you met. And also there's some talks about having a joint TTT event, trainers, something like the trap. And then there's the CFES, which are our Canadian friends. We've drafted our annual cooperation agreement. We've elected or selected an educational moment advisor who's going to help them to develop their own sort of something similar to our best symposium on education. That's Ivana Stoyanovska. And we're going to do a lot of sharing as well.
Then the fourth NGO we work together is ISTEC, where Eva is presented. In the past months we've worked on our annual cooperation plan. Eva has also been on one of our RMs. And soon we'll be starting some work on sharing about regionalization and grants. Then last but not least we got Esteem. Esteem is basically best for industrial engineering and management students. Together with them and CFES we got a joint grant application where we've been working on quite intensively the past few months. And as you hopefully know, we've got a new cooperation agreement coming up. More on that tomorrow. We're also a member of a few other umbrella organizations.
Okay, so we're a member of IFIS, actually founding member. Now we are reconnecting with them. European Youth Forum, we're observer member. IFISO. The Informal Forum for Students Organizations. Senate just attended their meeting in autumn. And well, IFISA, maybe soon.
Then shortly, what has happened this year? We started with an ambassador KT in my house in Ghent. It's quite fun. Where we divided the work for the year. This is the NGO division. So basically, if you have any questions regarding a specific NGO, now you know who to talk to.
Yeah, I was in Agora. It was great. A huge event. We had a boat party at the last party. Perfect. Sorry, we have little time. Go through it very quickly.
And then, as Antonia said, I went to the FISO meeting in Istanbul. Yeah, that's cool. And last but not least, we've been handling member exchanges for regional meetings, for our courses, and for job fairs, which you've hopefully all seen in External Relations app. What we plan to do is, of course, doing a lot of research. We're going to work on local cooperations, for example, between Esteem in Sofia and Best in Sofia. Improve our knowledge management, because we're best, we've got a lot of knowledge. And support ongoing projects like the joint grant application.
So if you're interested in external relations, these are two mailing lists you should follow. The first one is External Relations app, where we discuss more in-depth external relations stuff. The other one is for offers from external world. If you want to go to London Job Fair, to an IJ, networking meeting, whatever, this is the place. And if you want to contact us, the ambassadors, use a very simple address, ambassadors@best.eu.org, and that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope you
Thank you very much for your presentations. Do we have any questions? We have a question in the back from the Compass.
Gustavo from the Compass. Congratulations on the presentation. Really happy to see external relations developing like this. Okay. There's a lot of different international bodies that are working on external relations currently. Actually, every year we see more and more actively participating in it, which is great. What I would like to know is, what are you doing to include all these different international bodies in the development of external relations? And if you have any plans to improve your cooperation with these international bodies?
Well, obviously there are some bodies, like 4 departments involved in external relations as well. It was a question basically, how we want to develop it further. I'm not sure. I think the way the cooperation is at the moment, I think it's quite good actually. For example, with the training department, there's a lot of happening. A lot of trainers are going to other events as well. As I was saying, there are these talks between us and bonding to perhaps do a trainer event, but we'll see about that. And yeah, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Yes. If you have any more details, like what are you currently doing, and if there's anything more detail as well, plan to improve.
Yeah, currently we're mostly working on sustaining the ER relations of the different departments. For example, with the UID, we're always in communication, with training as well. But not real development work, except we're looking for other NGOs, what we can do regarding trainings, events, both with esteem and mood bonding.
Okay, do we have any other questions? In case over the days you have more questions or something pops up, you can always find Samuel and Sene around the plenary or in the coffee breaks, Antonia as well as our NGO representatives who are all here. So thank you all for being here and all the great work that you're doing, connecting us to the outer world. The next presentation will come from one of our partner NGOs from Bonding. So Irina, please take the stage.
Hello everyone. Before I would start my presentation, I would like to invite everyone who has been to the bonding event or a joint event between Best and One to the middle to join me.
Watch the cables.
Okay, I will quickly start. One thing, if you compare Best to Bonding, it looks quite similar. We are both having the same position. We are voluntary, non-profit and non-political, except we are just in Germany and we also have technology engineering NGO. What are we actually doing? We want to have additional career-related education for students. So we are actually the bridge between the companies and the students during their studies. And we have the same stakeholders as BEST, which are companies, universities, and, well, students for sure. About some facts about us, we are founded in 1988 in Aachen, which is our first LBG we have, local bonding group. And right now, at the moment, we have 12 LBGs, and mainly at technical universities. And we are having this cooperation with BEST since 1997, so already for 21 years. These are the LBGs we have. Some nice pictures you can always come by and just message us. We are very happy to host besties during these days. And events we organize for contacting the students with companies are for sure our job fairs, where we well know, but we don't organize these job fairs. We organize excursions, team days, engineering competitions, and so on. And we have internal events for developing our members, which are trainings, department meetings, team buildings, and PM, which we have every 2 months, a meeting all together. Some pictures of internal events. Our PM, we are also sitting in a U shape, and our Baumhaus, where we have our team building events, our trainings. These are external events of us. We have an excursion or an automotive day, which is happening in Aachen. Coming to our main organized event, every LBG organizes a job fair each year. So we have 10 up to 12, sometimes a bit less, and we have 351 companies. This year we will have a new record with 400 companies in Aachen. Thousands of students are visiting, and it lasts up to 3 days, and you are always welcome to come as a co-organizer. Some wonderful pictures, just to have an impression how it looks like. You can also ask the people who are in the middle. They have been to these kind of events. They can tell you more how it is to be a court. We have close partners. These are the companies which are supporting us. We meet them every twice a year. We get feedback from them, and we are developing each other during these meetings. I'm very happy to also say we have a new cooperation with CFES. So since a month, we are now official partners. And now coming to Bestie, so our cooperation. Bondings have been to RMs quite a lot. I hope you met some of them. Besties have been to job fairs. Yeah, pretend that was 3 years ago. And we had Miguel from Graz as a representative at our anniversary camp. We celebrated 30 years because it's our anniversary this year. And above you see our old and new board and one of the founding members, which came from America just to be at the camp. Bondings have been also to best DMs and ideas. Okay, mostly it was me the last year, but there will be other people joining soon. There should be a picture of our European workshop, which is finished like 1 week ago, which was kind of like core stimula, but organized by Bonding. And JBT Baumhaus, which happened 2 weeks ago, in our house, hosted by us, and we had like 50 besties and 12 Bonding participants. It was a really nice sharing event between both organizations. It was nice. How can you join? You just have to apply. It's easy. As someone already said, join external offers mailing list on PA to receive the call. And there's still the call open for cards for the job fair, which will happen in January with 200 companies, more or less. And there are more job fairs in summer, in April and May, in Stuttgart, Erlangen, and Dresden. The call will be sent out in the beginning of February. And there will be happening another course, which will be in Karlsruhe about emission in June. So just join external offers mailing list and you will receive all the calls. If you want to know more, just ask me. I will be here, or write an email to ambassadors. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina, for your presentation. Do we have any questions? Okay then, if nobody is very curious at the moment, then we can proceed with the next presentation from Zenon about CFES. Yes, there is a technical.
I would ask for a picture after each presentation. So can we have like a bonding picture and then we can proceed with the next presentation?
Okay, Sarah, please make this very fast. Okay, Zeno, the floor is yours.
All right. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm gonna come over on that. So, good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who haven't met yet, my name is Zen, and I'm the current president of the Canadian Federation of Engineering Students, CFES. Is it working? Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now? Okay. President of the CFES, Canadian Federation of Engineering Students, so your partner across the Atlantic, obviously. I'm in my second mandate, also a student at the University of Saskatchewan, which is in the middle of Canada, similar to where we are right now, but in the country, and I'm studying chemical engineering. Excited to be with you here today. So I'll start by giving just a brief overview of the CFES, go over some of our events and services, look at our current projects, and then end off with our partners and some collaboration that we do. Number one, who are we? So the CFES is similar to BEST. We have members across the country. 53 members at 43 institutions. Our members are the undergraduate engineering student societies at each university that we represent. And we cover every province in Canada, and through that, approximately 85,000 students. This is our officer team, which is equivalent to your board plus departments kind of team. In terms of what we do, so kind of the three big things: information sharing, soft and technical skill development through our conferences and competitions, and then advocacy and representation on nationally kind of relevant student issues for engineering students in Canada. Some similarities and differences between the CFES and BEST. So we're both nonprofit, non-governmental, student-run organizations, so both volunteer organizations. CFES is perhaps a little bit more political than BEST. We also operate bilingually, so in English and in French, as opposed to just English. Instead of having the full departments, we just have kind of one person to manage each little portfolio, like corporate relations, and then our smaller officer team, which is we're a little bit smaller than BEST, obviously. That should say we have 3 conferences each year compared to BEST's 90+ courses, and so our conferences are open to all students across Canada, kind of thing. We have 3 rounds of engineering competitions, which is something we both have in common. Both CFES and BEST do some educational involvement and advocacy. We both have 2 general assemblies per year where we bring together people from across the country, and that's kind of what we do as a big spirit of both organizations. Next picture here is a little fun fact. So from the distance between our 2 furthest members on the west coast on the Pacific and the east coast on the Atlantic is 5,800 kilometers. The distance from that same member on the east coast to Grenoble is only 5,000 kilometers. So some of our members are actually closer to LBGs than they are to other members in CFES. And also to put in perspective, across CFES is about, again, 6,000 kilometers. From Las Palmas to Yekaterinburg is 7,400 kilometers, so we're pretty big. In terms of our events and services, so we have 5 kind of big events a year, 2 general assemblies, so our president's meeting and then our Congress, which is like the GA. Congress also doubles as a leadership conference. There's some kind of general education going on there too. We also have 2 other conferences, both on diversity and engineering, and a new conference on sustainability and engineering that's going to be starting this year. And then of course the Canadian Engineering Competition, which is kind of 3rd level competition for us. Those numbers on the left are just showing you how many years each of these events has been going on for. So the CFES has been around since 1969, and so we'll be having our 51st Congress next January. Sam will be coming to represent BEST there. And we've had the Canadian Engineering Competition for about 34 years, and our conference on sustainability and engineering is just starting this next year, so we're quite excited for our new conference. I just a little kind of some pictures here and some details. So our president's meeting is about half the size of yours. It takes place over 3 days, and it's kind of similar style to this. We kind of focus on the same things, updates from the officers and the team, that kind of thing. Our conference on diversity and engineering is actually taking place this past weekend in Toronto. A bit bigger, 150 to 200 participants. There's a career fair, there's sessions, there's workshops, keynote speakers, quite a few technical, or not technical, topics on diversity and engineering, women in engineering, different minority groups in engineering, and how we can better integrate them into both at the engineering sphere and at the student level and at the professional level. Our Congress is again a bit bigger, over 5 days. It happens in January, and again serves as both an annual General Assembly and our professional conference. That's a little dark, but this is our kind of VPX stream or our plenary, which is some of yours in the U-shaped style as well. Canadian Engineering Competition, kind of big difference here. Instead of 2 categories, we actually have 8, which we also have communications, different design categories, and innovative design, re-engineering, debate, so a little bit broader, but we have had it for a couple more years, so we've had a little more time to develop it, I suppose. In terms of current projects, so we did just start a new strategic plan last year. And just to kind of sum up the big ideas here, the number 1 thing was building relationships with professional partners and major stakeholders, so kind of our equivalent of Fiani and CEPI, our deans across Canada, and then leveraging those relationships to advocate for nationally relevant student issues that we research. Increasing our income, same thing as best, we always need money for students. Improving transition strategies, developing new services, kind of the usual things you'd expect. And then the last one is developing initiatives on environmental sustainability, which is a new focus for us, kind of the conference that we have. We do have position papers called stances, which kind of look at different topics that we have a position on. So kind of big ones here, engineering accreditation, because we're one country, we accredit nationally, our engineering programs. Another big one, student workload, is the effects of excessive student workload on mental health. We did a research study on that. Some other ones there a little less relevant. Maybe perhaps one that we're working on right now is diversity and inclusion. So kind of in line with, again, our conference there. We also have a couple different academic and I guess social projects on the go right now. So last year we did a national student survey with about 4,000 respondents from across the country. That fed into some of those stances, on the more academic ones. We're doing an engineering internship program survey to look at the different programs. Total learning time study to figure out how much time students actually spend on learning, to figure out how we can feed that into accreditation. And perhaps a more contentious issue, tougher gun control legislation in Canada, driven mostly by our Quebec region. We're also working on IFESA, previously CISO, more on that later, I won't dive into that. And just to briefly touch on our partners and collaboration we do. So we do have a couple professional partners, Engineers Canada, which is kind of like Piani, Association of Consulting Engineering Companies of Canada, Engineering Change Lab, which is kind of a national workshop. We get some government support, and we're also developing a relationship with the Council of Deans from across Canada. Engineers Canada, we do the most work with. We meet with them yearly and kind of do some workshops. For our student partners, we have our regional student partners, which are actual organizations. A new national student organization, Queers Canada, which brings together LGBTQ+ groups from across the country. And then obviously BEST, NASIC of the United States, and more recently Bonding, as Rena pointed out. We just signed our agreement with them in September. We're quite excited. We even kissed the agreement with some lipstick I put on. And yeah, of course the CFDS loves Bonding, the CFDS also loves BEST. We've been partners for 15 years, which is a little known fact because I think the distance, we're less integrated, but we still are your second oldest partner, and we're very excited to be so. We do attend your courses, which is, I hope something that's mutually beneficial. I know Canadians are always really excited to come to your courses. I hope you take value in having Canadians at your courses. On the right, there's a little picture there you can't see, but that's me with 3 past presidents of BEST, all who came to Canada for our congresses, and that was at GA Wrocław. So yeah, we maintain a tight relationship, and we're happy about that. And that's it. So thank you for having me here again, and I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have any questions? We have a question from EduID.
Hello, Moita from EduID. Can you develop a bit on what is the conference on diversity? And also, by the way, as we are helping you with some educational involvement, will you invite us to our conference?
So our conference on diversity and engineering kind of looks at, so actually we had it in Saskatoon a couple of years ago, so it's looking at how can we better integrate people, women in engineering and different minority groups that are typically underrepresented in engineering. What are some of the issues that they're facing to breaking into the engineering field, both as students and further on in their careers, and how can we help address those gaps? So it kind of brings together a lot of different people, both professionals and students, to try to find solutions. We actually did have somebody from BEST there last year when it was in Toronto again. I don't know who it was, but I know she gave a presentation. So BEST is invited to all of our conferences, which we enjoy. In terms of the education involvement piece, that's touching that a little bit. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any other questions? Cool.
Okay, then in case we don't have any question, I would like to ask you, how is your energy level? The plenary, how do you feel? Ah, okay. It's not that bad. Do you want to do a wake-up game? Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Kind of undecided. Most of them say no. Okay. Then, if no wake-up game is needed, I guess we can proceed with the next presentation. Also from the same group, so you can stay in the middle, please. And I will ask Antonia to introduce us to presentation on the statutes for IFESA. And I would like to remind the plenary that there is a proposal related to this presentation, that is proposal number 21, and the statutes are listed in report number 15 in your binders.
Okay, hello again. So I guess the first presentation regarding the proposal finally came. We are going to talk about IFISA. So, okay. So, the documents in your binder, P21 is the proposal to approve the statutes of IFISA, and R15 are the exact IFISA statutes. Already approved some amendments to this document. So, IFISA stands for International Federation of Engineering Students Associations, and it was previously known as CISO. So the idea of this is to bring competitions to a whole new level. So it was started and worked for since 2017. It aims to organize the international engineering competition, which would bring students from all continents together, and it's bringing organizations closer. So we have 4 founding members. CFES, Bonding, NASAC, and BEST. So what has happened so far, as a reminder for some and as information for others. So in November 2017, so last year in PM, the LBGs approved BEST contribution to IFISA. So that's since when we are a founding member. Then all organizations in March 2018, all organizations approved their contribution for IFISA. Last one to do so, if I'm not mistaken, was NASAC, who did it more towards spring. And then there was a transition phase for organizations. The CFS and NASAC, they are changing, CFS, for example, is changing the president and the contact person during that period, and then BEST changed. So there was a lot of transition going on from all NGOs. So only in September 2018, we managed to complete the statutes of IFISA. They are based on the statutes of BAN, BEST, CFES, and YFJ. And the president of CFES has been in contact with the notary that we're working with in order to get the statutes passed. And with BAN for support, the reason it's BAN a lot because they are the most recent ones to have had approved statutes and legal formation in Belgium. So yes, there was a change of name as well, CISO to IFISA, it's in the proposal. It says international organizations, but actually BEST is the only international one. All the others are national, and coalition is a temporary thing. We wanted to say that this is meant to last. And also in September, 3 out of 4 organizations already approved this statute. Bonding approved them in their PM. CFES also brought them in their PM, and they were approved by the board. And NASAC have a general approval, again, also needed by the board. Will probably be followed by another one. So now what happens next? So there are discussion groups with members on the direction of IFISA. This is something that is happening here as well. We have a discussion group proposed. Approval of IFISA statutes by all organizations, so it's basically only us who are remaining to approve them. There should be a live work meeting of founding members. We will see when that will work. We were aiming to have one after this PM. It might be that not all of us could join, but we might still do it, and there might be one of all organizations on CFES Congress. And begin formalities of registering IFISA in Belgium. Oops. Okay. So then February to June, the founding members' representatives meet in Belgium to sign the creation of IFISA. The first GA takes place, and we are electing the first executive board. So, more on the statute, which is actually the focus of this presentation and the thing that we aim to talk about the most. They have been in creation for over 1 year. This is the 4th draft, well, now with the new changes, the 5th draft. It's based on the statutes, as we said, BEST, CFES, BAN, and YFJ, and it fulfills the Belgian legal requirements, and this has been checked. So the structure, it has a preamble, the purpose and activities, membership section, it tells about the General Assembly, about the Executive Board, the Management Committee, budget and annual accounts, amendments, and end of the organization. If this proposal is accepted, the legal representatives of the founding organizations will sign the statutes in front of the notary, making it an official international organization. If refused, they will have to be worked upon even further, and the new proposal for their approval will be brought to BEST at a later time. So we have these options for discussion. Now, about the statutes is the question time for this presentation. and then about the direction of IFISA and further things to happen, there is the discussion group later on. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we are welcome. We are pleased to ask.
Thank you very much, Antonia, for your presentation. We have a first question from LPG Turin, and then a question in the back at the conference.
Sophia Torino. I want to say that I really like the idea, of course, like all of us, I think. It's a super exciting thing to think about an event this big if we're talking about the competition. But I have some doubts, because as we're organizing event final right now, I have seen how the intervention of the different bodies, of course, is useful because we need that to create an event this big, but at the same time, I have the question of how it will work in this huge umbrella, because there's going to be like different bodies of each organization and the board of the umbrella. So I have the question of how it's going to work, more or less, if you have thought about it. And at the same time, like also if there's like any thoughts on how to make the event sustainable, because we have seen that on the last years it's not easy to find hosts for events this big. So, like, yes, I want to know if you have thought on this.
Okay, thanks for your question. So the idea on this is that CFS has tried before to organize this event, and they had a tough time for exactly this reason of sustainability. So the main reason of creating such an umbrella organization is such that the organization itself can be independent and support all the necessities. So because it joins a lot of other organizations, it aims firstly to find a lot of partners, a lot of funding and a lot of support from all over the globe in order to not put the pressure on one of the members. And when I'm saying one of the members, I'm saying one of the organizations as a whole and implicitly one of the local groups. So in case of BEST and in the end for the other organizations as well. So with this kind of aim, I think this kind of answers both your questions, because on the first hand, we are trying to make it sustainable in this way, and on the other hand, this is happening at a higher level. So although we haven't defined precisely, so although there might be support from the local groups in a certain region, depending on when we organize it from a certain organization, they will not be the ones who are going to be organizing the thing.
Okay, we have a question from the Compass in the back, and afterwards, Extra Valentin.
In several sections of the statutes, there are actually some references to the internal regulations of the next of IFISA. Considering that those references imply details regarding additional rules of the organization, such as voting procedures or membership procedure for applying, I want to ask what is the status of that document, if it was created or not, if not, when it's expected to be created, and so on.
Okay, I will answer, and then Zenon, if you want to add something or to correct me, feel free to do so. Okay, so they have not been created yet. We have been focusing on the statutes in order to be able to get the organization running, because that is the first step, so that we can really continue to work. Regulations are part of the next step that is supposed to happen, basically. If you have more details?
Yeah, I think the plan was we kind of need an in-person meeting to start working on the internal regulations. I mean, it took us a year to figure out the statutes, and partly that's because we never were really in person. So the idea is we deal with the statutes first. Some of the things that we don't want to have in a very strict document that can't easily be changed, we've delegated to the internal regulations because they were not part of the legal requirements of what needs to be in the statute. So there's no issue there with the fact that they were delegated. And the actual document itself, I mean, we're planning on working it after PM, and I mean, maybe by January, maybe by February, when we actually kind of go to get the statute signed. That will be something we plan. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then we go to Extra Valentin.
Okay. You mentioned that IFISA was mostly to have an engineering, like international engineering competition, and I wanted to IFISA, the type of collaboration with the other NGOs that compose the association, and so on.
Okay. Yes, for sure there are such perspectives that are an idea at the moment, because also IFISA should not stop only at the founding members. It should gather more members, and in the future, as opportunities pop up, it can really develop in more directions as well. This is more meant, since it's very in an incipient state, this is meant as the main direction for the moment. So we aim to organize the international engineering competition first, and by contact with our partners, by expanding our reach, by creating, really growing the organization and getting ourselves known, for sure other opportunities will rise. And yes, we would like to make it grow in the future. Nothing more structured on it, because we are just starting and we need to see how this part goes first.
Now we go to LBG Krakow.
Chris, LBG Krakow. My question is, there is a board of IFISA mentioned in the statutes, and how do you plan to select the members of the board? Do you plan to select them from the bodies of funding organizations or some other way?
Okay, so through very on point question, we were talking about it yesterday. So the people who should be in the board of IFISA are people who are part of the founding organizations, at least now for the beginning, in order to get it started. More than that, in terms of the procedure that is going to follow, how we're going to I don't know, get people engaged, we actually don't have right now. That is why we need a live board meeting to establish these details. Zeno?
One of the discussions we had in our presidency. One of the discussions we had at our president's meeting was looking at elections and how we're actually going to decide who bids on IECs. And so we have a couple ideas that I'll share in the discussion groups tomorrow. But this is the kind of feedback we're looking to take now on the actual direction on things like how do we do elections. So there's a couple different ideas we have, and we want to kind of get the input on what the different organizations want.
Yeah, it's also, it will be one of the points of the discussion groups. So also, if you have some ideas, or if you see something for this, you are welcome to come to the discussion group, or to send your ideas through someone to have it there.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
Proposal and this status is approved. Do you have plan on what the next steps will be, like, and when the first JMs will be done, and regulations and so on?
Okay, so as a rough idea, the thing is that we just learned recently that the bureaucracy needed in order to start the organization will actually take a longer time. So we have been discussing that we are considering around the period of winter IPF to actually go sign the statutes. And from then onwards, we need to discuss more to see what are our, let's say, availabilities and possibilities in order to meet. Because to organize a GA and to do all the other things and have a live board meeting is another reason why it hasn't happened so far. That is difficult also for the NGOs to go over the Atlantic. It's quite expensive. And also the timelines don't match at all. So this is just a rough idea. We are aiming, if possible, to as soon as possible to try to get a more precise timeline, seeing from the notary a bit more on, okay, how long will it take to actually have the organization official? And from then onwards, the idea is as soon as possible. But this as soon as possible all the time needs to be discussed, verified with the people, with their availabilities, with their timelines. And it's one of the reasons why this is going more slowly.
Okay, next question is Graz.
Leila, LBG Graz. My question is connected to the board. Will all the founding members have guaranteed place in the board?
So the founding members will all have a representative that's a member of EFED. So like it's similar to think about BEST. I mean, each of you are representing the members of BEST. So each organization will have a representative that sits at the general meetings. The board will be elected separately. It could be 4 people from BEST. It could be one from each organization. It's whoever gets elected.
Okay, next we go to Mostar.
Ernest from Mostar. I would like to know where the 5,000 euros which we have distributed for the creation of this cooperation have been distributed, and in which way will this cooperation be financially sustainable for BEST, and what the expenses in the future would be for the organization.
We have a direct reply from Gabon.
Gabon from the board. So the financial contribution, as it's approved, better now? Okay. Okay, I'm trying to speak louder. The financial contribution is approved in PM Bogazici last year. Since then, if it's gonna happen during my mandate, it's gonna come from the unexpected expenses. If it's gonna happen next year, then it will be put into the next budget, which will be proposed in GA Krakow. So far there was no payment.
Okay, and I think there was more to the question. Am I right? Could you repeat the second part of it?
Yes, from Mostar, how will the cooperation be actually financially sustainable for BEST?
Financially sustainable for BEST.
Like if we have to organize GMs for that, GMs are costly, how many delegates would there be, and what are the expenses future on?
This again, the aim is to not put further financial strain on either of the organization or the organizations that are members. So now it's the founding members. In the future, hopefully maybe we'll have 20 or who knows. But the idea is that it should be independent and it should be able to function by itself because it's a global organization joining all engineering students all over. So it should have its own partners and its own funding methods that would not create financial strain on the other organizations. Implicitly, also not any other like financial benefits. So we're also not getting money from out of being in IFISA from this. Does it answer?
Great. The next question goes to Almada.
Okay. João from Almada. Can you hear me? Down there. So, as members of IFISA, BEST has an opinion. Okay.
The microphone close to your mouth. No, it's open.
Okay.
Just close to your mouth.
As members of IFISA, BEST has an opinion on the direction of the umbrella organization, and how is that opinion decided inside of BEST? Who takes care of that?
Yeah, this is another thing that should be up for the discussion group that is going to happen. It's something that we haven't defined yet. The idea would be that it will probably depend on the level, like how high level of a decision it is, and how impactful it is for IFISA and especially for the member organizations. Because, for example, for small decisions, we cannot overload the member organizations to decide for every little thing. But then when it's something that could actually impact BEST and could actually have some sort of impact, then it will most likely be brought up with the organization. But more details, we are also trying to get input on it from these discussion groups and figure it out.
Okay, do we have more questions? Another question in the back from Krakow.
Chris out of Krakow. I want to ask if there is any real perspective for organizing international engineering competition in Europe. Like have some possible date or some plans for it?
At the moment, no. We are aiming to have the first one in Canada because they have a bit more experience. And the thing is that this is going to provide us with a lot of knowledge and experience. Okay, we tried it once, it went like that, what do we need to do further? Ideally, it would happen in, as diverse places as possible. We are not aiming to have it in the same place all the time, for sure. So there is a perspective to move it then to Europe, and then maybe we have an Asian organization and we move it there. But it depends a bit on what happens with the first one and how sustainable it is, and we see what are the needs further.
Thank you.
Then we go to Extra Valentin.
Yeah, Extra Valentin. So you plan to have like this international engineering competition, And I actually forgot my question. I'm sorry.
That is why in the plenary rules, the first point was writing your question on a piece of paper. Thank you for showing us an example of what not to do. Okay. When you remember your question, please approach the persons that are in the middle at the moment to get a clarification on it. A question at Coimbra, and after... Okay.
It's really quick. Daniel Coimbra. If you want to talk more and do a statement about this topic, we'll have the opportunity to do it like constructively. Was that clear? If you want to do a statement about this conversation and about IFSA, can we do it later with a constructive opinion? Will we have the opportunity later to discuss it again?
There is a discussion group in block 1 tomorrow, I guess. Yes, tomorrow there is a discussion group on IFISA. So if you want to express your opinion very clearly on this, you can participate in the discussion group. Do we have further questions? Then if we don't, thank you very much, Antonia and Zenon. Thank you very much for putting all the effort in this initiative. And then we will move on to our next item, which is a presentation from EduID on educational involvement and local educational involvement.
First, I have a small technical. I need my advocate to do the presentation, so LBG Naples can you? Thank you very much. And I would like to welcome to the middle all the people that are involved in EduID projects. Also, Halborg, Krakow, and Lisbon that organized DSC last year, and also all the LBGs that organized local events on education during this past year. So, be welcome to the middle. And also my equally responsible. So, yeah. Thank you very much. So to start with, I would like to ask who of you know what EduID does? And if you do, raise your hand. Wow! Oh my god, so many people. I don't need this presentation then. Okay, so what do we do in EduID? We do educational involvement. So, what the hell is educational involvement? I saw many hands raised, but I'm not so sure if all of you know exactly what we are doing there. So I'm going to try to explain you, and also throughout the whole event I will also be around to clarify everything that you might have to ask. So, first thing, we gather students' opinions. Then we gather students to discuss education, to come up with solutions to improve education. We reach some conclusions, then we share it with relevant people. How do we do it? In many different ways. We have some publications and so on. And we also enjoy and seduce in conferences. So I have two quotes here. This is from a conference actually I attended in it was ICL conference, and this gentleman is Dr. Hans Hoyer. He's the Secretary General of IFIS that Antonio already mentioned before, and in the opening ceremony he was talking about a lot of things, and he said there is a very interesting students organization in Europe working on education called BEST. And then the other quote I have is, what is educational involvement? Do we have other things besides courses and events? And yeah, this was said by Anonymous Bestie. I would say Anonymous Besties. There are many people that don't know. So, isn't it worrisome that a lot of people outside of BEST knows exactly what we are doing? For instance, you had the opportunity yesterday to see Safi and Feani talking about it, and inside BEST we don't know what we are doing. So this is a lot of our partners. I don't have the time to go through them. I guess you already heard about some of them. So yeah, we have services and we have core services. But you will hear from it later on day 3 from Francesca. So I'm also not going to get into details. But as you all know, we have 3 core services. It's complementary education, career support, and educational involvement. So, educational involvement is actually not EduID. Educational involvement is a core service of BEST. And we as an organization should all contribute to this service. Is your LBG providing educational involvement? Is it? Okay, these LBGs are, so not that bad. So, how can your LBG provide educational involvement? As you see from the people that came here, we organize BSCs that need LBGs to host them. Actually, as we are speaking, the call for hosts for next year BSCs is open. So also, if you are interested, you can talk to me during the event. But you can also provide local educational involvement. And what is local educational involvement? This is activities that your LBG can organize and provide all the content, but you are not alone. What kind of things you can do? You can do a local event on education. And there are no boundaries to what you can do. You can do an event that lasts just 2 hours, that's just 1 session or something. And you can also do a full week of panel discussions, inviting people from, I don't know. It's completely free, but anyway, Educational Involvement Department is always there to support you. There you can also do local surveys, so just choose a relevant topic about your university, something you would like to improve. You can create a survey, share it with your students in your social media and so on, get the results, make a report, and have an impact. Then, this report you can share it with your deans and with the people that make decisions in your university, and you can have an actual impact and improve education. And, of course, you can also have other ideas of things that you can do. As I said, EduID is always there to help you. We have a team called the Local Educational Involvement Team, the Layouts, and they are already there to support you whenever you need. You can contact them, I will tell you what's their contact. And you probably received from your RAs, if the RAs did it right, I guess they did. You received a lay activity form. So it's supposed for all LBGs to fill this form. For the lay team to be able to assess what's the situation in the LBGs, if there is interest from the LBGs, and so on. So I guess a lot of you already filled it. If you didn't, you will have still an opportunity to do it. I will send the form again later today to the PM delegates mailing list. You can check with your board if you filled it or not. If you didn't, you can fill it today. And again, if you are interested, if you are curious, if you have questions on what you can do, you can always approach, you can also approach me or people that have organized already these kind of events and these kind of activities, but you can also contact the lay team. They are really nice people, they won't bite you, even though they are layers. But you can text them at lay-team@best.edu.org with any kind of questions you have. That's it from my side. You should also subscribe to the EduID mailing list to be aware of what's going on, to be able to bring all these educational involvement things to your own LBGs, and to change this thing that not only EduID should provide educational involvement, all the LBGs should work on it, and not just 2 of our 3 core services. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'm here for you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have any questions? We have one question from Delft, and then one question from Novi Sad.
Matteo from LBG Delft. I really like education involvement because I think it's a really unique part of BEST.
but I would like to ask, what has been the real impact of education involvement of BEST in European education? Thank you very much for the question. Actually, it's a fun thing. Yesterday in the panel discussion, we tackled the same topic. And I'm going to give exactly the same answer. So for the ones that were in the panel discussion, I'm sorry for repeating myself. But basically, it's really important. Okay, so decisions are being made all the time about education by professors, by deans, by these European organizations and so on. And it's important for them not to decide by themselves. You know, teachers know how to teach and so on. They have the knowledge about that. But it's also really important to have students' opinions about it and for our voices to be heard. It's not because we say it once or that we present a paper or that we have a conversation with a professor that we will change something right away. But these changes take time. Like decision making in Europe, it's quite difficult and it takes time. Like we're not talking about a month or 1 year. We're talking about like 5 years. Like it takes a lot of time. But we have been doing educational involvement for 20 years now. So with this, we are making sure that the student's voice is still there. And even though we don't see the impact right away, we know that education developed is better for students because there's the voice of students all the time there saying, we think this, we want that. And I really believe that this is a really important thing that we do invest, and there are not many other organizations doing it. And yeah, I think it has to do with this.
Okay, direct reply from Bel again.
Do you have, you said we're doing it for 20 years, do you have any direct assessment of what changes and have been done or have been the result? Yeah, I get your question, and like that question is very, very common about it. It's really hard, if not impossible, to assess that in detail, because like we are saying it to organizations that are making accreditation and so on, and we are giving our opinions about small things. Like for example, I can give you an example. This year, we like 1 month or so ago, we presented a paper about how important it is to have entrepreneurship classes in university, and that the impact is not developed enough. So you can see from like 10 years ago that right now there are more entrepreneurship and so on. Like you cannot measure it directly, and we cannot know if it was just us or just because of the world, you know. But we are making sure that the students' voice is represented. That's the thing. Does it cover your question?
Okay, next question goes to Novi Sad.
Galina from Novi Sad. You mentioned contacting relevant people after acquiring all the information from the surveys. So my question is, who contacts those relevant people, and what do you mean by relevant people? When I say who contacts, does the LBG who organized the event contact them, or you as a department? And the other part of the question is, do you have any advice for LBGs that are part of state universities, and the regulations on those universities are not as easily, maybe not as easily changed because they are state regulated and not just university regulated?
Can you just run the first part?
Yes.
Okay,
so relevant people and who contact them.
For the relevant people, for the local events or the local activities that you can do, the outcomes, usually it's done in the native language because it's local problems or directly related to your university in particular, to some problem that you spotted. So it's the LBG that should share it. They should be in contact with the lay team for us to also report it, even though if it's not in English, we can keep track of it. And you should share it with the people that can actually make a change. So with your professors, with the dean of the university, with the pedagogical council, these kind of people, and it should be you sharing it. There are other examples. For example, LBG Skopje did an event, and they then reported the outcomes in English. They created a paper, and the paper was then, they were also in contact with FYD, so the paper ended up being presented in a conference, in an international conference. something done by the LBG. So like the scope of what you can do is very big and you can do many different things. But in case it's like some local problem, the best way is for the LBG to share it directly with the university and with relevant people. The other thing about state regulations and so on, indeed it's much harder to change, but I don't think that because it's harder to change that you should not state your opinion anyway. And still, to have a bigger impact, you can try, for example, to cooperate with other LBGs. Instead of organizing a local event on education, do a national event on education. These kind of things, it's possible, and you can have a much bigger impact. Like if you collect input from students from all the LBGs in Serbia, for example, you'll have much bigger impact when you present the outcomes. Cool.
Thank you for your question. For the next question, we go to Ljubljana, and Vojta, could you please keep your answers concise and to the point?
Sorry.
Urban LBG Ljubljana. We have seen your actions that you do invest, but my question is, do other NGOs also have something similar that they do on this area? Or
Thank you. In Europe, not that I know of. I know CFPS has something similar, not that much developed. We are also in contact to help them with what we do. There are, for example, one of our partners that was in the previous slide, EAT, which is a students' platform for engineering education development. It's a worldwide organization, and they are working just on this. Like it's a whole desk just for this.
And a final question from Madrid Carlos Tercero.
Hi, Jesus from Madrid Carlos Tercero. To grab more attention on the department, what are two of the hottest topics right now being talked about education in the department?
I will just give you one because, okay, I'm not going to know. You can ask me later. But this year we are going to focus on diversity on STEM education. So also that's why I asked the question to CFDS. That is the topic we are going to focus, but there are many other topics that are shared. I'm more than happy to send you the things if you want.
Thank you very much for your questions. We already passed the time allocated for questions. So if there are no more urgent questions at the moment, I would recommend you approach Moita and the others on questions about educational involvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And okay, thank you very much. And for the next presentation, we have Francesca from the board talking about innovative events.
Hello. Let's start? Yeah. Okay, so good morning guys. It's the last presentation for this block and it's about innovative events. Some of you knows already what innovative events are. If yes, please could you raise your hand? Okay. So best updates didn't go that well, as I see. So what are the innovative events? An innovative event is an event that should follow best mission and vision and should respect some criteria and quality standards that are defined in the innovative events definition document. Why an LBG should organize an innovative event? Well, you can create your own event first of all. You can invite external students, so it's not a local event, but actually it counts in the 4 season rules, and encourage innovation investment. But pay attention, that's important. In order to organize it, you have to respect some of the rules. So if you're interested, first check PA, please, or approach me. And you can find the wiki page of innovative events on PA. And if you go to knowledge and documents, there is the documents or the definition document in the special part. And the second step, is to shape your event. This year we are putting a lot of effort in innovation, a lot of focus on it, so it's your turn to make a change and bring a change in best. And as I said before, to respect the criteria that I'm going to explain to you now. First of all, that the event is directed to the best target group. It should have a minimum of working hours, cultural activities, and professionals during the acknowledgement of the event. Also, the event must be announced by bus or through TAS, and the application is open to all the best students. So, to all the students that are part of our organization. And furthermore, the organizer should create an evaluation form and send it to the participant after it. First step, if you have more questions, contact the board or the vice president for services, that is me. Save these emails, board@vps@, and you can bother me as much as you want about this. Then organize the event, have fun, and wait for the sixth step. Verify the quality standards. So the event can be stamped if you respect the criteria and also if you respect the quality standards. So you should have the 70% of the working hours that you announced. Then the logistic expectation that you sent to the participant. You should have had the professionals during the event, and as I said before, during the preparation of the learning part. Then the schedule should be sent 3 weeks before the event, and you should communicate the needs and the special arrangement to the participants, and also you should provide assistance for arrival and departure date. After that, the board is the one deciding to accept your idea and to stamp it, so hopefully that it was a successful event. So for this reason, we would like to want you to apply for it and bring finally this change that exists since GA Wrocław 2017. And that's it. I see questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Francesca. Let's do a monoclap for the presentation. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. And for people that have questions, please raise your LBG sign only after the presentation is finished, so as not to disturb the presenters. So we have first presentation to Eka Urfu, and then to Zagreb.
Joy from Eka Urfu, thank you for the presentation. You mentioned that it can be stamped or not. What kind of stamping procedure do you mean, and if it goes under the department or?
Okay, yeah, as I said before, it's a responsibility for the board, not right now. It depends on the event, so if you are willing to organize it, you can contact us. Together we can check if the criteria that you proposed and the one that should be respected are fulfilled, and then you can go to the event. And after that the board will check if the quality standards are respected, and then the stamp can happen. However, if the event, it looks like a competition or some other, let's say, events that you already organized, we can ask the help of our department and also the opinion. But this, let's say, it's quite flexible. It depends on the situation.
Okay, next question comes from Zagreb.
Hello, Lucia, which is Zagreb. Okay, so I'm wondering, can you give us an example of an innovative event that happened in the last few years? Because I'm not sure if I'm clear with what does it mean.
Okay, so far there was no events. That's why we are here, we are promoting. As I said before, this was something that LBGs voted in GA Wrocław 2017, and so far, let's say, we didn't have anyone. However, it's in the RAI, Regulation on Admission and Exclusion, so it's something that actually we would like to promote in order to differentiate the services that we have right now, and it's also a tryout for the future. For example, if a lot of LBGs start to organize the similar event, it might become a service of best. I might make an example. There are some LBGs that organize the best architecture competition, but it's for local students. If the same event is open to external students, so from other university, and that respect the criteria that I mentioned before, it might be one of the innovative events. That's just an example. And yeah, also career it depends of course on the event itself, but there is no limit. The only limit is to respect the first criteria.
Okay, next question goes to Krakow.
Chris, LBG Krakow, I wanted to ask, like, what is the point in stamping an innovative event if it's not an obligation for LBG to organize it? And also, can it be treated like an external event, like a course?
Okay, if I understood correctly, as I said before, it comes in the 4-8 season rule. So if you don't organize a course or an NRR or the final round of feedback, you can organize innovative events, and the stamping procedure is decided by the board. There is not a defined structure because, as I said, for each event, since they are quite different, we check the quality standards. So a minimum of working hours, the professionals during the event, the announcement, the schedule if it was, let's say, sent before three weeks before the event, sorry, and yeah, all the other requirements, and that's it. It's basically quite up to the board.
Okay, next question goes to Mostar. And after that,
Alice,
Lisbon.
Mostar? Sorry. So on the presentation you mentioned to invite besties, and I wanted to know, in order for the event to be counted as an innovative event, is it exclusively only for besties? And if you invite external students, is it still going to be counted as an innovative event?
Okay, I might do a clarification. It's not best, I mean, it's like the students that are part of the members, let's say, of our university partners. So all the students that are from university that are part of BEST. That's what I meant. However, as you know, for courses also besties applies, so it might be similar, let's say. And you had another question? No, okay.
okay, then we go to Lisbon and afterwards to Barcelona. Lisbon is here. Can you put your hand up?
Hi, João from LBG Lisbon. So I remember a vital position that they tried to do some event and there were no participants. What measures are being taken to support the promotion of the event?
Okay, clarification first. What Aveiro organized was part of the Pineapple project, so it's not the same. If you are wondering about the difference, the first difference is that the Pineapple project wasn't, let's say, counted, the event in the 4-8 season rule, and also there was the help of the international side, so there was a project coordinator that was supporting the event itself, so in that case Aveiro. However, when it comes to promotion, in PRD this year there is a goal, an action, that is to promote innovative events externally, so if we have innovative events, we will promote them, but if we don't have, of course, we cannot.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Now we come to Barcelona.
Okay, I'm now from Barcelona. So I am, yeah, you working? Yeah, I think that most LPGs want to keep doing courses. So for these LPGs, do they have any motivation, or does it even make sense for them to use innovative events?
Okay. As I said before, this is an opportunity for the LPGs that, okay, they want to organize courses or webinars or feedback and the final round if they want, but also to bring innovation in BEST. So there might be LPGs and BSE, of course, I didn't want to forget about it. And it's mostly if they want to, if an LBG wants to change what they are doing, this is an option. Before there wasn't, so it's up to the LBG to decide mostly. We don't impose anything.
We go back for a reply?
Yeah, just that my point was, like, if they already get the course stamped, do they have any motivation using this tool or not? like, does it bring them any extra utility?
Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, let's say the main part is that courses are quite defined in terms of structure, what you have to provide and so on. In this case, the LBG is free to shape the event as it prefers. That's the main difference, I would say. But still, it's we are not promoting more in our events. It's just to make LBGs aware that there are different options.
Okay, thank you. We have 5 more questions on the list, and I would like to ask the plenary if they would like to listen to these questions or not. So please show your green or red cards. Okay, I would say we take 2 more questions, and then we see. So Belgrade, and afterwards, Wrocław.
Hello, I'm Mili from Belgrade. My question is kind of similar to what you already asked. I don't think the motivation is the problem, but the thing that the courses are very well defined when it comes to stamping and so on. So did you maybe think about providing mentors for LPGs that decide to organize? Because it can be scary to organize something that you're not really sure about the procedure and so on.
Thank you for the question. Okay, this year, actually, there is, as I said, beside the board, there is not another body that is taking care about innovative events. So what we wanted to do this year with the action, actually to clarify the application procedure, because so far you go to the wiki page and there is a form and you just answer to some questions. And also the stamping part is not that clear, as you say. So it's one of our goal to actually make sure that the procedure, at least for this year, is clear and can bring also more motivation in terms of clarity for LBGs to apply for it. So, work in progress.
Okay, next question goes to Wrocław.
Emilia, LBG Wrocław. So actually my question is connected in what you actually just said. Is there right now any application process and deadline for the events to be either even considered innovative and to be promoted by PRD?
Okay, yes, as I said, there is the form on the wiki page. I can share with you later just to take a look. However, there are some questions that are mainly the criteria, so what I mentioned before. And about the deadline, you can always, let's say, apply in terms of if tomorrow you want to promote the event, then before actually the organization and so on, the event needs to be approved by the board. So there is a certain timeline before actually going to organize it. It's 3 weeks before the start of the, before the announcement in BUS and TAS, so that's why.
Okay, thank you very much, Francesca.
Lucia, okay, the only thing that I want to ask that it's kind of technical, is there somewhere where we can join this discussion? Because personally my LBG has something that could be useful and, well, this is the first thing that I hear the discussion starting.
At the moment there are no discussion groups, but we have a block of parking blocks where we can add this topic. Would that be okay for you?
Yeah.
Great. Now I have a request regarding facilitation. I saw some of you showing 3 fingers. If 3 people show 3 fingers, that does not give me sign enough that I should cut the discussion. But rather, if you show it, keep it up. So keep it up. And if other people join you, then the crowd gets bigger, and then I can see how big the crowd is and how many people want to move forward. So if you have 3 fingers, please keep it up for a while. Thank you very much. Now, I will ask you again if you want to continue with these questions on innovative events. Red or green? Mostly red. Thank you very much for your contribution. This means that we will stop the discussion now. Thank you, Francesca, very much. And thank you very much, the plenary, for all these interesting questions. Thank you, guys. So So we reached the end of the sessions in this block, but before we go into the coffee break, into lunch, sorry, excuse me. I will ask Maren if we have some announcements.
Yes.
How?
Okay, so there is two announcements. The first one is from the organizers. The ones who brought their cups from the coffee break, please bring them back for lunch, or else other people won't have cups. And one more time from Gabo.
Guys, come from the board, please use the lunch to pay your debts.
Great, thank you very much. Then we don't have any more other announcements, but I would like to remind you that we have here a gratitude box. So whatever makes you happy today, please write it on a small piece of paper and share it with everybody else. And second, before we go into lunch, please make sure that you take any garbage or stuff that you don't need in the plenary. So let's keep the plenary clean. Thank you very much. Then we will go for lunch now in the other building. And we will meet here back at 3. So again, if you will be a few minutes before 3 here, it would be awesome. Then, bon appétit. Merci.